definitely pretty, but she ain't very smart. So. Welcome back to the Project Gen X podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with
the ever-suffering Big Day.
Yeah, and we are coming to you live from a house full of dogs. You can hear them walking around everywhere.
How many you got in here?
I've got five right now.
Five right now.
So
yeah.
I have two dogs.
Well,
personally,
6 including you.
Well, I have two dogs that live with me full time, but then my ex has 3 dogs, and they're they went out of town this weekend, so I'm dog sitting. 2 of them, lived with me prior to splitting, so it's not that big a deal. And Lola, the one that I was just saying, is pretty, but not very smart.
You mean the Paris Hilton of the dog world?
Exactly. And it's like I was telling Dave earlier, it's like, the thing with her is that whenever you say that Biscuit is the smart one in the two, that's saying a whole lot, because every time I tell Biscuit, you're my special boy, I always backed it up with, that's not a compliment. That's
he knows you're talking about it too. He's looking at you like you're a jerk. And then he just walks off.
Biscuit and Lola both are definitely get by on their looks because they're both really cute and really friendly. And it's like, yeah, you would find somebody to take care of you if you ever wound up in the wild. That's basically what it would come down to. Yeah. It's like. So, anyways, now that we've talked about my dogs for a couple of minutes here, we are in the holiday. We're in the Christmas season now. We're finally, we're past everything else, and I think is Hanukkah still going on right now? I can't remember. It's
8 crazy days.
I know,
so
I think we're still in it at this point.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
I know. I think it's a lunar cycle. I apologize to all of our Jewish people out there that because I don't know that off the top of my head.
I'm just trying to work my way till 12th night.
It's one of those that both with Hanukkah and with Ramadan, both they move. Now Ramadan, I think, moves like all around the calendar. I mean, I think it kind of moves everywhere. If I'm not mistaken, I could be completely wrong about that, but I know that Hanukkah generally happens in December, but it moves, and I think it's a lunar cycle. I think. I could be completely wrong. But same thing with Easter, like Passover and all that, with being, that's the reason why Easter is, different every year, because it's because of the lunar cycle. So what are you doing?
I'm trying to find when the actual dates of it are. Keep talking.
So, yeah, you just need me to vamp for a little longer. It's like
just keep going. Just keep going.
Oh, my goodness. So here in Tennessee, we're coming out of the weekend where it was nice.
It started on Sunday the 28th, and it ends on Monday, December 6th.
That's today. So today is the last day of it. As we're recording this, it's the last. So happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. So does it say there, about how it moves? Because I know it moves.
I didn't read into it that deeply. Okay. I was just looking for the dates. And
I may have to.
If you really want to get into it, I'm sure we could play an Adam Sandler song or something.
Yeah, and I know that song, 8 Crazy Nights, or Hanukkah or whatever it is, the Hanukkah song, I don't think it actually goes into the dates of it or anything. It just kind of So I don't. Did you ever see 8 Crazy Nights?
Maybe once.
See, I never did. It was one of those that I was like, oh, okay, so they're basically taking his Hanukkah song and they're going to make a movie out of it, an animated movie, and I just never got around to watching it. That was about the time that I kind of stopped watching Adam Sandler movies by and large. Not completely, because I did watch. You don't mess with the Zohan.
That means you missed all of the Hotel Transylvania stuff.
I saw the first one.
You missed Hubie Halloween.
I have not watched it yet. It is in my queue to watch, because I heard nothing but good things about it. But yeah,
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I have not seen a
single grown-ups movie. I have not seen.
It's kind of like if the Water Boy was really into Halloween.
I mean, it's one of those like, Carly, get away from there. I don't know what she's getting into over there. Who knows?
Is she behind my drum kit?
No, she was over there behind all that stuff on the piano bench.
Okay.
I did. Have you seen Unpolished Gems or
You
Uncut
mean-
Gems or whatever?
Yeah,
it is?
I saw that.
What did you think?
I did not enjoy it.
See, I loved that movie.
Really?
I did. I really did like it, but it is a hour and a half long anxiety attack. Is all that it is.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't enjoy it.
I enjoyed
I have
it.
enough stress in my life.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, buddy. Help you do what? Hold on.
Time out.
Time out. And we're back. I also failed to mention that my son is actually with me tonight as well. So.
And wanted to play video games on
Wants
the
to play
TV.
video games on the TV because he still hasn't figured out how to switch the television stuff around, which is not that difficult. But he's more concerned with the video games than he is with the actual.
What's he playing? Switch?
Yeah, he's on the Switch.
Yeah, okay.
So he generally will play it just handheld, but every once in a while he's like, I want to play it on the TV.
I was
so
kind of hoping he was breaking out the old Nintendo.
nah, it's funny. Ever since he discovered the Switch, he's kind of left the Nintendo behind because he can play all those games on there. I have that.
Yeah, but
Nintendo
there's something
Online
about the Nintendo
I know.
entertainment system.
Is this your segue?
It is. It is.
Dave trying to get us back onto the on the track. What are you talking about? We're only like 6.5 minutes into this.
I just think you should just go ahead and put on your power glove and get us on over there.
All right. So this episode, we are going to be talking about the new HBO movie, 8-Bit Christmas.
Okay.
All right.
This is your spoiler alert.
Yes, there are
If
going
you
to be
have not
spoilers.
seen 8-Bit Christmas yet, stop now, go watch a movie, and then come back and talk to us.
So
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, this one kind of came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
Like trying to think where I heard about it. It might have been on Gen X Grown Up.
No, I knew about it because I was flipping through HBO Max one day, and I was like, "Oh, new Christmas movie."
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Neil
Doogie.
Patrick Harris. Yeah, and the thing is, I love Neil Patrick Harris, and it's I was like, all right, I'll have to go check it out. So I went and watched the trailer for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, this hits me right in the nostalgia.
Oh yeah.
It
Talk about being directly marketed to.
very, very much marketing Gen X and elder millennials. I'm a little more Gen X than the millennials. I'm just by age. I mean, you start looking at the age of them because it was like the Nintendo.
Yeah.
The Nintendo Entertainment System was released in Japan in 1985. It came to the States in like mid 86 or something, like maybe a little later in 86 or something like that. And it really didn't take off until the next year, which is 87, ish. That's when I got mine,
And this movie's based in 88.
Yeah, they're kind of fast and loose with some stuff.
No, if you actually watch the movie, when they're doing one of the home videos, the video that they're showing has a time date in the bottom of it, and it gives
That's
you the
fine,
year.
But what I'm saying is that they are a little fast and loose with the actual, like, the Power Glove comes into this.
Yeah.
Well, the Power Glove wasn't introduced until 1989. I know this for a fact.
Oh,
so
well,
it's
okay.
one of
I see what
those,
you're
like,
saying, yeah.
Like I said, they're a little
Absolutely.
fast and loose with some stuff. Not as bad as, say, the Goldbergs, but but it's all.
Can you really call the Goldbergs fast and loose, though?
They are, dude. They're all over the place.
That's more like greased up with Crisco.
It's true. It's true.
Or your mother's can of bacon grease, depending on how old you are.
Really, we've talked about the Goldbergs before, about how, one episode will take place in the early 80s and the next episode, which is supposed to be like, the next week or the next day or the next month or whatever, takes place in like the very end of the 80s, and then it's back to the beginning and then back into the middle, and then it's just like all over the place. So, but, it is what it is. This is very reminiscent of A Christmas Story.
It is. Definitely has some Christmas Story vibe
Also
to it.
has some How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, very
involved,
much. Yes.
Which, of course, Neil
Patrick
Harris was
Harris,
on there.
It even has a little bit of Princess Bride
Yeah, because
mixed in.
Yeah, because there is the interaction between the him and his daughter.
Yep.
The and her, like, oh, well, are you going to keep telling the story, right? You know,
Yeah.
I get that. You know.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Were you wearing a helmet?
yeah.
Was it a green helmet?
Right. No, yeah. That's the whole like where he was like, I ride my bike. So were you wearing a helmet? Of course, everybody wore a helmet in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's like
Not.
no, the only people who wore helmets in the 80s on their bikes got made fun of. Okay. It's
Yep.
like, let's be honest.
Exactly. Oh.
Oh, coffee! Thank God.
Coffee,
I had to
yeah.
get some brand. Had to get some coffee because I was out, and it's like, oh no, this house is not going to be. This house is not
Yeah.
going to be fun without any coffee.
Wait, speaking of which, my house has no coffee
Yeah, I
because
know,
my
you were
coffee
telling me
maker
that.
died,
Oh my goodness!
and I can't afford to get a new one
All right,
because
so,
I'm paying $1,200 on my car to get stuff fixed right
do we need
now.
to set you up a GoFundMe, Dave?
No, I'm not asking people to do that.
Yeah. I'm not
People who-
asking anybody. To
People who do that actually irritate me. It's you should be planning for these things.
Sometimes stuff happens, though. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, you know. Let's talk about the cast here. Of course, we had Neil Patrick Harris, who plays
Yes.
Jake, the adult Jake Doyle. You have Steve Zahn, who plays John Doyle, his dad.
Yep.
You have June Diane Rayfield, who plays Kathy Doyle, his mom. Are you familiar with her at all?
Vaguely.
Okay, she's been in several things, but like she's married to Paul Scheer.
Oh,
And they do How Did This Get Made podcast
Yeah.
together. And she was in oh God, what else she been in? She was on New Girl, and she was on Frankie and is it Frankie and Johnny? Is that the one? What's the one? The one with
I think
you know what I'm
so.
talking about, it was that Netflix show.
Yeah.
She's been in a bunch of stuff like oh, you know what was funny is that it's funny because she was in oh, what's the name of that movie? Hold on, let me pull it up. The Disaster Artist, which is funny because, like, you know, have you seen The Disaster Artist?
No, I have
You know what I'm
not.
talking about,
No,
right?
I have
Okay.
no idea.
The Disaster Artist. Let me take a little side step here for Dave. The Disaster Artist is it's a biopic about the making of The Room.
okay.
So, and what's funny is that How Did This Get Made? I think that was like their first episode that they did was on The Room, and all three of the hosts are in the movie, like her and Paul Scheer and what's the other guy's name? I can't remember the other, but it's one
The
of those.
other
But it's
guy.
like but it's kind of one of those things where they've said that, you know, that they consider that the first How Did This Get Made movie. You
Yeah.
know, like it was like came through and everything. But you haven't seen The Disaster Artist?
No, I
Dude,
haven't seen
you need
that.
to see that. It is hilarious.
Okay.
It is hilarious. You know, you know about The Room, right? You know, it's like this terrible movie that Tommy Wiseau made, and like he's like a terrible actor. And, I mean, just
No, I don't think it's ringing a bell.
dude. Okay,
It sounds like
then
I've
that's
got
a whole other thing to go down.
It sounds like I've got a rabbit hole. I need
Yeah,
to-
it's generally considered one of the worst movies ever made, and
Why would I want to watch this? That's like handing me a jug of sour
I know,
milk and going,
I know.
"Here, smell this."
But it's kind of like Showgirls or Plan 9 from Outer Space. Of like they're so bad that you like kind of like them. You know, it's one of those. You know, it's
nobody can like Showgirls. That's an impossibility.
Showgirls has found its audience. Like in the 25 years since it was released.
I don't know that I want to meet those people.
I know.
That's-
I mean,
that's
it's
kind
a
of.
big, but it's one of those things where, you know, it's so regarded as being bad that
I just
it's
want
so
you to
bad
know
it's good now.
I was tricked into watching this movie by a friend of mine.
What, Showgirls?
Showgirls,
Oh,
yeah. And I just
Come on, it
looked,
was Jesse Spano as a stripper. Everybody wanted to see that. I mean, come on. The only way it would have been better if it had been Kelly Kapowski, you know. And that's the thing I always say about that movie. That's not Elizabeth Berkley up there on that screen. That's Jesse Spano up there on that screen.
oh no, oh no.
And apparently they make a joke about that in the new season of the Saved by the Bell reboot.
Oh really?
Yeah, the trailer shows her and like she's like on a pole. I think they're like a fire station or something, you know. And I'm like, oh, you know, they're going to make a joke about this.
Oh no. I sometimes wonder what I'm getting into every time I come over here.
Well, have you watched the new Saved by the Bell reboot?
No.
It's actually really funny. Like, I really enjoyed it.
Has it got all the original characters in it?
Screech never. It was one of those things that he did not pass when they were making it, but he had not signed on for it. Everybody else comes back.
Oh, really?
Even Lark Voorhees, like she's got like, there's basically it's a reunion, and she makes an appearance.
Oh,
so
okay.
They do, and it literally is this is Zach and Kelly's son and Jesse's son, and type stuff, and Slater is the coach, like football coach at Bayside.
Oh, of course he is.
Yeah, and Jesse is a guidance counselor. And
Jesse's a guidance counselor?
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's
after that episode in Vegas, she's a guidance counselor.
Why not?
Nope, I'm not going to make those jokes.
But yeah, it's and of course they have like a younger cast that they're dealing, they're doing that kind of stuff, and it gets a little woke, at times, but it's really funny because like Zach Morrison and something that Zach Morrison can do is Zach Morris can do is,
I was looking at you like,
I know Zach
who?
Morris, not Zach Morris' son. Zach Morris did the most Zach Morris thing ever and failed up into being the governor of California. And
he didn't fail up. He blackmailed somebody for that job, and
he's completely
inept
inept at it, and he knows it. Yeah. And it's just so.
Well, he's doing it like he did his entire rest of his life.
Pretty much,
he conned everybody.
Pretty much, yeah. But it's interesting.
Okay, back to 8-Bit Christmas.
It's all kind of relevant because we're talking about the same time frame, and all that kind of stuff. But so yeah,
Chicago.
It's set. Well, it's set outside Chicago.
Outside of Chicago, in the burbs.
They say the city, and I can't remember.
I didn't recognize
They even
the name
said
of
the
it.
county and everything because that comes into a statewide ban on video games later. Which
Countywide.
Countywide.
Yeah. But they're Blackhawks fans. They're Bears fans.
I know.
A sausage is very involved.
Yes, what is it? It's a what do they call it? It
was a gourmet sausage.
Gourmet sausage. That's what it is.
It was a homemade gourmet sausage.
Yes.
We're having salad for dinner. I know.
No, that's why
I wanted my sausage. Exactly, my man.
So the young Jake Doyle, so basically what it starts off with is that Jake Doyle is coming back home for the holidays with his
daughter.
He's with his daughter, and they are, and so
going home to his parents.
They're going home to his parents' house for Christmas,
Yep.
And she's going on and on about wanting to use the phone to text her friends.
She wants her own phone.
But she wants to borrow his phone also so she can text her friends,
Yeah.
And he's like, look, when I was a kid, we got out in the fresh air, we did all this. It's all the stuff, all the memes that you see on, Facebook and Instagram and everything else these days. And so they go inside, and he's like, well, they're not here yet, so.
No, my favorite, though, is when they're in front of the mall. Mm-hmm. And they're walking in front of the Santa, and he slips and falls flat on his back.
Mm-hmm.
And out of nowhere, he looks up at the Santa and goes, again? And the Santa...
I missed that.
And the Santa looks at him and goes, I keep telling him to salt it.
Yeah. And here's the thing.
At the beginning of the movie.
I watched the beginning of this like last week. I watched like maybe the first 15 minutes of it, and then I finished watching it last night.
Okay. But like within the first 2 or 3 minutes,
there are several callbacks.
He falls right on his back and looks up at the Santa and goes, "Again."
Yes, because that comes into play.
That comes into play later. Oh, more coffee.
Yeah. So so he starts. They go and they sit down, and he's like, "Hey, come on, let's go play the Nintendo." And she's like, "What's a Nintendo?" And he's explaining about the Nintendo Entertainment System.
He walks
blah, blah,
up
blah,
and
blah,
he does the thing, motions like it's supposed to be a big reveal, and she goes, "What's that? It looks like Tupperware."
Yes.
It's like, are you kidding me?
I know. And so he starts, and she's like, I thought Grandma and Grandpa didn't let you have video games. And he starts to tell the story of how he got his Nintendo Entertainment System. And again, it's the Christmas story thing, where he's trying to figure out how to convince his parents to let him have this because he knows that they're not going to let him.
Yeah.
They're not going to let him. And he's got a little sister. And, it's kind of one of those things that, she's the precocious little kid that you see in
She's
a lot
a bit
of
of an antagonist.
Yeah.
But not quite.
Yeah, because you learn that, like, she's got her own angle on something that she wants.
Yeah.
You know. So they it kind of progresses it. Trying to convince his parents, and he's got his own tactics. Like he gets his mom multitasking and asks her if he can have it, and she says yes. And then his dad is like,
renovating this house.
They say he's been renovating the house for how many years at this point?
Something like 20 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
He went to change out a cabinet, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, and he's still working on stuff. And so he's working with him, and he's like says something about I could build up my hand strength for use. It's one of the tools or something.
Yeah,
I could build up my hand strength if I had a Nintendo. And he's like, okay, sure, no problem, we'll get it for you.
Yeah, and
then when they find out that it's a video game, they're like, oh no, that's not happening.
Yeah, that's never coming in this house. It's never coming in this house.
And then that's his dad keeps saying, you need to go outside, and breathe in the fresh air. You go out, be in the fresh air.
Go outside, play with your friends. We used to build forts. We used to do this. We used to do that.
Right.
And in the meantime, he's getting on his bike and going over. Everybody's meeting over at the rich kid's house.
Yeah, and this is fun
to be able to go play the Nintendo because this rich kid has a Nintendo.
Right,
and he only lets the first 10 people in to go play the Nintendo. Of course, the rich kid has the basement. He's got the pool table and
he has an actual
foosball table.
Yeah, and he has like a snack bar almost, and type stuff. And I'm trying to find the kid's name. I can't remember the kid's name. Anyway.
We're gonna have to find that list because there's some
I'm looking at him here
names.
because. But this is also where we're introduced to like his group of friends.
Right.
You have let's see here.
You're having trouble finding everything.
We have Mikey. We have Mikey Trotter,
which is his best friend.
Right. You have Evan Olson. You have Jeff Farmer, who is the town liar. Or he's always lying. He's kind of the chunk of the group where he's always lying about some big fantastic, whatever. Then you have Tammy and Teddy Hodges. They're twins.
Not only they're twins, but they have their birthday right before Christmas.
They have a Christmas birthday.
And they always end up having to share the present for both holidays.
Right. And then there is... he's not one of their friends, but he is a character in here, which is Josh Jaworski.
And we all know him. He's like
we do.
He's like a 6th year, 7th grader.
Yeah,
or something.
and he's a complete metalhead. He's wearing the.
I think it was a Judas Priest T-shirt.
He was wearing an Iron Maiden T-shirt the first time we see him. Later we see him wearing a Pantera T-shirt, which I'm like, that's a little early for that.
Yeah. No, it kind of looked like a bootleg T-shirt.
Yeah, I know.
So,
but they because they're in Illinois and snow all the time. Yeah. There's a big pile of snow where they've
King of the Mountain.
Yeah, and they said every morning they would go and he would just basically just like throw them off the snow hill.
Yeah,
and they kept going. He was like, I've never quite figured out why it was we kept doing this.
Why did we keep doing this? Yeah.
But yeah, that's a. And so they're all over there and they're trying to get in and they get in to go see the Nintendo and so they're playing. What game was it they were playing? It was
a shooter.
Oh,
it wasn't Duck Hunt,
no.
But it was a shooter. The very first game that you see.
It wasn't Duck Hunt and it wasn't Hogan's Alley. It was I forget what the other one was. It's funny because did you notice that like none of the licensed Nintendo first part
Rampage was in there.
The first party Nintendo games none of them are used in this. Like Rampage wasn't made by Nintendo.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that everything that they're using games that were on the Nintendo, but none of them were like you're not getting Mario or Zelda or Hogan's Alley or Duck Hunt or any of that stuff.
They referred to Joust as a Nintendo game. I was like, no, that's an Atari game.
It was Joust was on Nintendo,
but that was an Atari game.
Galaxian's another one they referred to. Again, we're just like that's a little early.
Something just tapped me on the back of the head.
That's because you hit that thing right there.
The reason I hit that thing right there is because something tapped me on the back of the head.
Okay, must be the ghost.
That was weird.
I don't think it was the dog, although Lola's over there trying to get your attention now.
I don't have any more food.
If you guys could see this, Lola is trying her hardest to give Dave kisses.
Yes, Paris, you're very cute.
I know.
Now
I know.
Cheese, look, cheese.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Anybody? No, nobody's chasing squirrel. So
No.
Lola, get down.
You're very
Get
cute.
down.
You're the Paris Hilton of the dog world.
Here
Now
we
go
go.
away.
And now here come the other dogs.
Biscuit's like, get away from him. That's my human.
Exactly. Biscuit's like, you can't love on him. You have to love on me. Hi, Lola. So we get that, and then we get to this where they're at school, and then they say, hey, did you hear he got the Power Glove?
Yeah.
And so now they're like, oh, we got to go see this, you know.
Oh, he'll let you in to see him play the Power Glove,
Right.
but you've got to bring him a gift,
Right. And
which
so,
is where the homemade gourmet sausage
And
comes in.
So there's all these people, including one of the, was it the shop teacher or something?
No, it was the coach.
Is it the coach?
It was the
Okay,
school
so
coach.
then
Yeah.
they're all standing outside in the lawn trying to win his favor with gifts.
Yeah, and he goes, all right, folks, what do you got for us? And the coach is out there, complete untraceable
Little cash.
First off, what's the coach doing with untraceable cash?
I know. It's so Jake doesn't get in, but he finds another way in through the doggy door.
Yes.
And he winds up giving the dog the
sausage
to
get past
the dog. And so he sneaks into the basement, and it's funny because it's one of the Hodges, Tammy Hodges, is playing him. And I forget what game it is. It's a fighter. I forget which game it is. Is it Final Fight? I think it's Final Fight.
Final Fight, yeah.
And he's using the Power Glove and just getting killed. And it's one of those things where
which is real life.
Because he kept I had the Power Glove. It was
they,
terrible.
They completely acknowledge this in the movie.
Yes.
They're like, and it was at that point that we all realized the Power Glove sucked.
Yes, it did.
Which it did.
It did.
It sucked.
It did. It was one because I had it, and I think I played with it for about an afternoon.
Yeah.
And realized, oh, yeah, this is no.
This was a $50 gimmick.
Oh, it was more than $50. It was like a $100 gimmick.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
In
'88 money.
Yeah. Yeah. In 1989 money. Yeah. And of course, and that's the thing. The Wizard. The Fred Savage movie.
Yeah.
That was kind of the first introduction people had to the Power Glove. Yeah. And that, and also Super Mario Brothers 3. Of course, Nintendo had their fingerprints all over that movie. It was just basically it was an hour and a half long advertisement for Nintendo is what it was.
Yep.
And so the Power Glove did suck. It's kind of cool to have one, just because the aesthetic of it is kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
Those things are expensive now, even though they're garbage to use.
Garbage controllers.
Because not a whole lot of people had them. I mean, because they were expensive.
They were expensive and they sucked.
And not many people hung on to them when they realized how bad they sucked.
Yeah, they went and they traded it for like 2 games.
Yeah, something like that. So, but in the process of this, he throws this kid. What is the kid's name? This is bothering me.
Was it Stone? Or Connor Stump? Was it Connor Stump?
Connor Stump. That was it. Connor Stump is the guy's name.
Yeah.
Because, no, it was Timmy Keene. Yeah, it was Timmy. It was Timmy Keene.
You're
because
right.
His sister
Tiffany.
Tiffany comes out and like plays music, turns on the boom box.
Yeah,
which is funny because he turns it on later and it's like his audio journal and he's talking about like this girl that he likes and everything.
Well, it was Tammy.
I know. It was the Hodge. One of the Hodge twins.
It was Tammy and Tammy Hodge, who he was getting ready to get his butt handed to him on Final Fight.
Yeah. So he loses it and starts like throwing stuff.
Yep.
And he does of course this is the memory of it. He does a flying sidekick all the way across the room and hits the television and knocks it over onto their dog.
42-inch CRT off the top of the Nintendo cart on top of the dog.
This thing would have weighed probably 120 pounds or so, honestly, like that for that size of one.
Yeah.
And especially in 1988, and it just like in there, it's funny because his daughter's like, they killed the dog. He's like, hey, it was the 80s. Things got real.
Yeah. True enough. But the kids is like,
but come to find out,
part of the narration was like, so as any sensible child would do, we fled.
Ran. Exactly. Everybody took off.
And of course, his father is the head of the school board or something.
Is he the principal
and starts an anti-video game.
Right now, the dog
rally.
didn't die. The dog, but he had like he had 3 broken legs and a couple of broken ribs.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, and they have this big. So the way that they think they're going to get the to win a Nintendo is they find out that it's the Boy Scouts, but it's not.
The Boy Scouts. They just
call it something
Boy
else.
Scouts. It was like the something Rangers.
Yeah, is having they're selling Christmas wreaths.
Yeah,
and whoever sells the most Christmas wreaths will win a Nintendo.
Yep.
And so he takes off, and he starts selling. There's this big competition. Everybody's trying to sell.
Everybody's kicking his tail.
Yeah, and his little sister shows up and goes, I know how you can sell more wreaths, but if I tell you how you're going to sell more wreaths, you've got to help me get the Christmas present I want. Right, and she wanted a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Right. A red one, or one with red hair and freckles.
Right, which she winds up getting one, and she only gets half of that, though.
Yeah.
It's not a redhead, but it does have the freckles.
But she's happy with it.
She's happy with it, which is cool.
She goes, she's like, you sold a bunch to older folks, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah. He goes, so older folks have a lot of extra money and they want wreaths, right? He goes, well, yeah. He goes, have you thought about selling at the retirement homes?
Mm-hmm.
And the bell goes off.
Right. And so he goes in on one day, and he winds up selling, as he said, 47, I think it was, or something like that, because there was like 200 residents there. He winds up selling 47 of them, but he's like, it's one of those things. He walks in, he's like, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into.
Like it shows him, getting his cheeks pinched, and he's like feeding one of the older men his soup, to get
pudding.
the
it was pudding.
Pudding,
Yeah,
sorry.
And he takes his dentures out. It's
lays it on the sign-up sheet. There was another elderly gentleman that fell asleep in the middle of signing, so he picks up his hand and actually finishes signing the sign-up sheet.
He looks like it's what he would have wanted.
Yeah.
It's really a cute movie. And so ultimately what it comes down to is he ends up winning the grand prize, but it turns out to be a complete set of Encyclopedia Britannica
because the school superintendent has managed to get a countywide ban on video games.
Right, because he said it promotes violence, and he uses the
look at what happened to my dog.
Yeah, exactly, and it's. So that this whole thing starts where it becomes this movement, like there are protests, and his mom has really gotten into this, and
his friends' parents have gotten into it.
So, but they're going on a field trip, and they figure out, hey, Chicago has Nintendos.
Yep.
So we need to figure out a way that we can get to the mall.
Well, we need to buy our own.
Right.
And the way they buy their own is
selling the baseball cards.
Well, they at the birthday party where they're having to share their presents because they're both Christmas and birthday presents, and they're having to share the presents. They're opening up baseball cards, and they realize that they have a special baseball card that was like an ultimate screw-up card that was never supposed to make it to print. It was worth $90.
Right.
And they're like, dude, $90? Mm-hmm. Let's sell some baseball cards and buy our own Nintendo.
Right.
Now they're going to Chicago.
Right. Oh, what we did leave out is that they did go on a shopping trip to Chicago earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And they were in the mall, and of course, the mom it's a couponer. She's all about the coupons.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of
That's how he ended up with his girl boots.
His boots, just because that comes back later a couple of times.
Oh, what was her name? Dude, you've got so-and-so's boots. No, they're my boots.
Oh, what's her name? Because
that becomes a major thing later on.
It definitely has a wraparound on it. So, was it Katie Sorrentino?
Yes.
It's Katie Sorrentino.
Yes,
yeah.
Katie Sorrentino.
Yeah, they keep saying, yo, you've got Katie Sorrentino's boots. He's like, no, they're my boots, because his mom had a coupon.
Yeah.
And
got them for $14.
And it's funny because he's trying to explain this to his daughter, and she's like, what was it? She's like, they were purple. He's like, so? She's like,
no, they had flowers on them.
Yeah, and she's like, so? And he's like, the 80s were a lot less... Well, what was it? What did he say? Is that the 80s were a lot less...
They were very much closed-minded about a lot of things.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those... It's that,
Yeah.
And then what's his name? The bully finds him, is like he's going to kill him. That's when they find out about the Christmas wreath.
Yeah.
And that saves him from being killed at that point. So they devise this whole plan where they're going to... There's one of the kids that is allergic to SpaghettiOs
and candy corn.
Yes, so he basically sacrifices himself
his dietary issues.
And he winds up eating a couple of cans of SpaghettiOs
and an entire bag of candy
corn that morning, and so he starts vomiting. And it's one of those, like, they're right outside of the mall, and so Jake goes running in the mall because they got their money together. Or first off, what's the bully's name again?
I had it right here.
I did too.
Jake.
Josh Jaworski.
Jaworski, yeah.
Jaworski steals their money.
Right.
And so he, like, stands up to him and...
Oh, the weird kid. What was the weird kid's name?
Was that Connor Stump?
That was Connor Stump. That was Connor. Jacob Lavelle.
Yeah, and he's kind of,
he's an outcast.
Yeah,
he's a weirdo.
Yeah, just very weird. But it's kind of one of those things. He realizes that he just doesn't care, and that's the way you have to be.
Yeah,
and so he starts calling Jaworski names and stuff, and it hurts his feelings, and he takes the money back. And so they get off the bus, or he gets off the bus and goes in. One of the things we did forget, though, before we get into this, is that his dad meets this guy who's selling black market Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah,
it's played by David Cross, and so he's like, he gets the Cabbage Patch Kid for his little sister, and he has a Nintendo. He sees it in the back of the trunk. And so he goes in, he gets it. Come to find out, there's a couple. The Hodge?
It was the
mom is there, and so
is the Hodge twins' mom and
which I think it's
the woman who owned
they were
the dog.
Hodge twins.
The woman, yeah.
Considering if you guys know anything about the Hodge twins on social media,
and
the lady with the dog,
Mrs. Keene,
and so they're outside because he's like, I can't be seen, so. They have to pull this whole thing where they get Farmer to go and make a call to page them.
Yeah,
and they're like, we need somebody that can tell a lie. And they immediately look at him like, oh yeah, you.
Oh no, he shows up and goes, do you guys require somebody who can say make something up?
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, so he has a tool we need.
They get him to make a phone call from the payphone phone booth on top of it all, and keeps them while Jake goes and buys the Nintendo, and he comes running out, and he's in the free, and then
so in the opening scene where he falls on that piece of ice and looks up to Santa is like, again, this is the first time he comes running out of the mall. He slips on exactly the same patch of ice right next to the same Santa. Mm-hmm. And when he does, the bag with the brand new unopened Nintendo Entertainment Center goes under the wheels of the bus
that's coming by and explodes, which is even funnier.
Yeah, there's actually an explosion.
And David Cross he's across the street. He's like, oh, that can't be good. So he goes over, he starts talking to him,
Right.
He actually does the kid a solid, He's like, look, because he made a comment earlier about, his dad, about he wished his dad was still around or whatever, and he was like, hey, have you even told anybody Merry Christmas today? And he's like, no. He's like, dude, that's more important than anything. That's
like, don't be so wrapped up in the stuff that you want,
right,
that you don't notice the stuff that you already have.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a cool little thing. And he does the kid a solid also, where he like gets him a cab. He's like, where were you going? And he tells him, what museum. He's like, look, take him over to the side entrance so he can get in that way and
tell
get
security
in
that you
got lost.
That you got lost.
And the type. So he does the kid a solid.
Yeah,
he really does. It's funny because he's like, do you need me to pay you for this? He's like, no, dude, I fleeced your dad on that Cabbage Patch. Which is funny because his dad thinks that he got a deal on it.
Yeah,
it's like no. So they're like, all right, so the Nintendo, and so things go on. They get to Christmas. He doesn't get the Nintendo.
Yeah.
He thought he was getting it because of their uncle that lived in
crazy
Japan.
Uncle that lives in Japan, and when he opens it up, it's a Japanese version of the Light Bright.
Yeah. And so they're getting ready to go to. Are they going to the grandparents' house? Is that where they're? Or they're getting ready to go to Minnesota?
Yeah, to her
parents. That's what it is. Okay, yeah. And so there's been this whole thing with him and his dad, where his dad's like, you got to pick up
get out in the backyard and pick up all the dog crap.
Right. And the first time he made him get out there and do it on a Saturday while he was trying to sell wreaths, And he kept telling him, was like, don't worry about the ones back behind the shed.
Yeah.
You know, that's
just get the ones in the main backyard.
And this one, he tells him, start with the ones behind the shed.
Yeah.
Hello? Oh, I guess he's having fun. Okay. Sometimes when he gets in, they start playing. I can't tell if he's calling for me or if he's... Hold on, just...
Time out.
Time out. All right, we're back.
So what was that?
So my son, he would kill me. Of course, he's only 7, so if he ever heard this, he would kill me. Like most kids, he'll be like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and so he'll like spend like an hour in the bathroom, and all he's doing is he goes in there. He'll either take the Switch with him or he'll take the iPad.
Okay.
And I legit have gone in there before, like when he's been gone for like half an hour.
Yeah.
And I walk in there and he's literally sitting on the toilet.
Yeah.
With his pants completely off, shoes, everything. Sometimes completely naked.
Okay.
For whatever reason. Literally.
Sometimes, you get a sweat working.
I guess. But I will go in there and he will be sitting there with like literally like kicked back on the toilet with his legs like crossed and then like the whatever it is he's playing like on his knees, like just kind of sitting back chilling. I'm like, what are you doing? And he'd be like, go away. It's just like because kids, it's just like, and I'm always like, get dressed, get off the toilet. Okay. But he has a thing. There was a bug. And when I say a bug, there was a gnat in there.
Okay.
And he was like, there's a bug. You had to come kill it. Yeah, I was like, serious. I keep telling him, like, dude, seriously. One of these days you're going to realize, because he's got an older sister. Yeah. And his mom also doesn't like bugs. Neither one of them do. And I'm like, one of these days you're going to realize how much fun bugs are, because you get to chase, your sister and your mom around the house with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wait till he finds a lizard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, of the two, he would more go over and like grab the lizard than he would the bug. Okay. Which, all right, fine, whatever. Anyway, now that we've got that taken care of. So yeah, he was in there kicked back with the Switch, and there was a bug, like there was a gnat literally like on the wall. And he wanted me to come kill the gnat. Gotcha. All right, what were we talking about? we were talking about. Oh, he was going behind the shed to clean up. So yeah, so he goes behind the shed and sees this huge tree fort. Huge tree fort. And all of a sudden the lights come on and it's completely decorated. It's what his dad's been working on for a while, like and all of December. Yeah, and it's he goes in and it's all it's nice, and he's and he had him varnish some old hockey sticks, earlier, and he had put those into the trap door, to get in and that kind of stuff. And he's telling me, he's like, I had something like this when I was a kid, and you're going to enjoy this. You're going to, this is something that you will got to get out into the fresh air. Into the fresh air. That's the whole thing. Exactly. And play. And and so, and so they're sitting there, and he's like talking about how, and it's one of those things. He doesn't get the Nintendo for in the story, he and the daughter actually walk out in the backyard to the fort. And she's talking about how, like, that's her favorite place. That's her favorite part of her grandparents' house. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, me too. Yeah. And, and he had him carve his initials into the door, because he'd actually worked on it. Right. Because a craftsman always signs his work. Right. And so... and then she asked, she was like, "What about the Nintendo?" He's like, "Yeah, I got one later. I had to, I worked for it." He was a caddy. My father explained to me that if I wanted one, I had to work for it and earn my own money, and then I could buy it myself. Right. And so he was a caddy at a golf golf. So we got a little bit of Caddyshack mixed in with this also. At a golf course. Some great callbacks to some great 80s movies. Yeah. And so then it showed, his mom calls him. Hey, come inside. They come in there sitting around the table. Yeah, I don't want to get to this part. His mom's sitting there with their newborn. They got another little boy. Yeah. And come to find out, it is we said her name a while ago. Missy. No, not Missy. Katie Sorrentino. He wound up marrying Katie Sorrentino. Yeah. And there's another joke about the boots about him. About him having her boots or whatever. And yeah, it's one of those things that they're talking, and of course the dad's not there. And
God, I don't want to get into this.
I know, and it's really kind of it's one of those things. It took a complete turn. I was not expecting this to happen. It was
this was a great movie up until the end, and then it kind of ripped my heart out.
Yeah, I know, and it was, you know, it was one of those things where he's kind of looking around the house and seeing his initials on several things that they worked on together, you know, and
you know, his dad's all over the house.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Even though, and they've even like set his place with his favorite Blackhawks cup,
right?
And you know, it's one of those things.
Yeah, and like I said, it took a completely emotional swing at the end of it that I was not expecting.
Oh no, this was a complete bait and switch.
Yeah,
I'm actually a little angry about it.
Yeah,
and I had a rough night afterwards.
Yeah, but it's a cute little movie. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
It's a good movie. It's just really is. Because you know, I had ended up losing my dad like 5 years ago, and Mom had this year decided to sell the house, so we're not even going to be able to do Christmas at the house anymore.
Yeah,
and so the end of the movie kind of
hit home for you. I know, and it was funny because I was laying there.
It hit hard. And
I was watching the movie.
It ripped my soul out.
I was watching the movie, and when it got down to the end of it, I was like, I wonder how Dave's doing.
Not
that was the first thing that I was like, oh man, this is gonna be rough for Dave. I know it is.
No, I was not doing good, and I'm still kind of not doing good.
But it's a cute movie. You know, it. What is he doing in there? God, I swear I have never seen a kid play video games and get as much exercise at the same time as he does. I'm not even joking. Like he like runs around the room while he's playing his games. He jumps up and down, and and he'll climb up on the bed and jump off of it, or get in the chair and like do back, or tumble off of it and play and laugh. And I never played them like that. I was always serious about my video games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The only time I got any exercise is whenever I got mad and like slammed a controller down.
No, I got exercise because I would have to ride my bike all over the place to go meet up with the friends to be able to play.
You never had one?
I never had a Nintendo. I had an Atari.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, and they're fun to play by yourself, but it's always better when you play with your friends.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you get a phone call like, hey, we're playing video games. You get on your bike and you would have to, and we lived.
None of my friends lived close enough for me to do that.
Mine didn't. I had to ride. We lived in a little subdivision outside of town, and I'd have to get on my bike and ride into town and then ride halfway across town to get to their house. So
it was a different time.
Yeah.
To where parents would allow that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Believe me, that's we've talked about that before. You know, I mean, I would leave the house in the morning during the summer, would come back for lunch, and then go back out until it got dark, until they called, you know, to come home for dinner, basically, you know. And just always out doing something.
Oh yeah,
you know, in the woods, and playing baseball. Playing
kickball, we did it as nature intended. We went out. We were gone all day, and you did your thing. And those of us that were tough survived, and those that weren't ended up on
Unsolved Mysteries.
Mysteries as nature intended.
Exactly. That is one of my favorite memes that has come out in the last couple of years. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right. You know. Unsolved Mysteries.
Or
I know we've talked about this
that other
before.
show that was on Fox. It was where they were always looking for missing people.
America's Most Wanted, or is America's Most Wanted?
Maybe.
Yeah, the one with John Walsh.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
they were generally looking for criminals, though. I mean, that was. But yeah, you know, there's a new Unsolved Mystery that's on like.
Who's hosting it? Because nobody can be as creepy as that guy.
I know Robert Pack is just all you had to do was hear that music and his voice, and it was like, oh, this is gonna be creepy for the next hour.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who's Robert Stack. I'm sorry. I don't know who's hosting it. It's on Netflix.
It can't be any good then.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good little movie.
Yeah, 8-Bit Christmas is a cute movie. It definitely hits in the nostalgia feels for all us Gen Xers.
And it's totally not about getting a video game.
No,
it's
about
about
slide. Yeah, and it's got a good little lesson to it at the end, you know, and you know, it took a swerve that I wasn't expecting. But it was still a nice movie. It was one of those. Not quite the warm fuzzy feeling, but more of the yeah, exactly.
In my case, I'm gonna go take a walk.
Yeah, yeah, and but yeah, go check it out. It's on HBO. on HBO Max. I don't know if it's. I'm sure. The thing is, I haven't had HBO proper in so long. I've had Max for over a year now because of my AT&T. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know what's on, because like last episode we were talking about some stuff that show the Sex Life of College Girls that I discovered on there.
Yeah,
which is a hilarious show. I absolutely love that show. And they just dropped some more episodes this week, so I think there's got like 2 episodes left in the season or something.
Okay.
And but that is an HBO Max exclusive, kind of like Hacks that I talked about with Gene Smart. That is,
remember back in the day when
Max,
HBO used to do their own original content the time.
Well, they still do. I mean, but this a lot of this stuff is just Max exclusive. Like, it's not actually airing on HBO. It's only available on the app. So I don't know with 8-Bit Christmas if it's exclusive or if it's on HBO. I'm sure it's available somewhere. If you don't have it,
if you're like Alan, you can steal it from the dark web somewhere.
Have to. I mean, like I said, I've got HBO Max, so it's just that there's some other stuff that I'm not going to give them my money to, so it's what is it that George says? It's a public domain. That's it. So it's
to quote the Princess Bride. I do not think that means what you think that means.
I know.
Yeah.
There was a joke in there there was a joke about that, wasn't it? Oh, when they're putting the plan together, he's like, "This is going to be our Vietnam." He's like, "I don't think that's what it means."
I don't think that means what you think that means. Yeah. I told you it had some Princess Bride.
Yeah, it definitely. It's a cute movie, and I wish they had kind of done a little rundown at the end of. You know what else it reminds me of?
Of what the other kids had been doing as adults.
It reminded me of The Sandlot. In a lot of ways,
absolutely.
And that was like, I was expecting them to kind of do a rundown of what happened to where everybody's doing now as adults. Of course, we did get his wife, and finding out,
which they talk about her enough.
They talk
in the movie,
about her, but you never really see her.
That's the first time you actually meet her.
Exactly. Unless we saw her somewhere, just kind of.
We saw her boots.
Well, yeah. Well,
that's
the
what
thing
it
is
was.
there's somebody that actually plays her as a kid in it, though. So I know she's there.
We saw her boots on the bus because he has to go walking down the aisle to the bus, and it shows the 2 sets of boots next to each other.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's someone. Yeah. So we got her.
And I think
somewhere.
I think you actually hear her in the background goes, "He's wearing my boots."
I do remember that part. Where he said he's wearing my boots. It's a cute movie. Check it out. Definitely worth. I mean, it's like an hour and a half or something like that. And Steve Zahn is one of those actors that I guess probably the first big role that he had was in Reality Bites. He plays the it's there's basically 4 it's Ethan Hawke and Janine Garofalo and Winona Ryder.
Yep.
And then he's the other one.
Yeah.
And of course Ben Stiller, is in it as well.
The Tool.
Yeah. Well, is he? I mean,
yeah, he's kind of a tool.
Is he though? I mean, that's one of those. I've watched that movie back. I remember watching the movie back when it was released.
He's a tool,
kind of being like, oh yeah, he's kind of a tool. But then later,
he's a tool, but he realizes he's a tool later and tries to fix it.
But then watching that movie as a real adult and not a 20-year-old or whatever.
I have bad news for you. You are still not a real boy.
As a real adult, let's put it that way. It's one of those things you kind of watch it and you're like, no, Ethan Hawke's kind of the jerk in this.
Well, no, he's
not.
He is also a tool.
Yeah. It's like Ben Stiller's character is not really a tool. He's just trying to be what at the time was considered an adult, whereas Troy, which is Ethan Hawke, is just like being the big, like, oh, screw you and you're blah, blah, blah.
Actually, if you watch that movie, all the main characters are tools.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
As most of our generation was at one point.
Especially right out of college. I mean, let's be honest, But yeah, it's... anyway, we got off on that whole thing. But I don't even remember how we got to that. We were talking about Steve Zahn. That's what it was. And he plays. Yeah, he's the character that's gay in the movie. He's like one of the roommates. Yeah. And of course. He was in that
Reality Bites.
He was Reality Bites.
That
was in the Reality Bites.
Yeah,
and he was in That Thing You Do.
Yeah,
played the smart ass guitar player.
Yeah,
and he's pretty much played that role in everything since then. He's been in all kinds. He was in oh God, what else has he been in? He's one of those guys that's like been in a ton of stuff.
Great character actor.
Yeah, very much so. But he, it's kind of this whole seeing him play the dad.
Yeah,
is kind of like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And I love June Diane Raphael. Every time I've seen her in something, I'm like, oh, she's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, check it out. And so we're gonna finally get this. I know this was coming out a little late this week because
it's my fault. My life is kind of falling apart.
It's the holidays on top of it all, and it's hard. And hey, I'm sitting here with 5 dogs and a kid that I'm not. I'm 3 of the dogs and the kid's supposed to be at his mom's house right now, rather than. Which I don't have a problem. He can stay here. All of them can stay here.
You're getting extra time.
I'm getting extra time with him this week, which is wonderful for me. But again, this is we're under extenuating circumstances for everybody involved at this point.
Yeah.
So with the holidays, that might be some stuff. I'm hoping that we can get some stuff done.
I'm hoping we can get some more recorded, but I'm not going to lie. My life could get worse at any point right now.
Well, you're right at the very end of the semester. When is the last day? Is it this week?
I'm thinking finals are this week.
Yeah, I would think so, because usually college lets out a little early. Because I know Xander gets out of school next week.
Here's the problem. Once everybody gets out of the classrooms.
But you're not done, yeah.
No, that's when things ramp up, because I've got something like 20-plus classrooms that I'm updating across 3 campuses. I'm replacing an entire digital signage system across 7 campuses. I'm programming I don't know how many different Zoom rooms.
Good times. You need an assistant.
I'm in the process with our video production department to set up a 3-camera Zoom webinar thing for our spring convocation.
You need to go to your boss and say, "Hey, I need an assistant."
Well, I think they're trying to hire
like a full-time assistant.
I think they're trying to hire another me.
Okay.
But
because I know you got a new campus opening here soon.
Yeah, that one's going to be number 7.
Yeah, it's pretty nice looking from the outside over here. I know we won't get into all of it, but I know it's a pain trying to get new stuff up and running. So
I'm under a good deal of stress at work, and it looks like that's going to be ramping up family-wise a little bit also. I have to do a side note here.
Uh-oh.
You wrote an email to the grown-up Gen X people.
Yes, I did.
How dare you besmirch Kit Kats? How dare you, sir? Kit Kats are an excellent candy.
Whatever.
By the way, I agree with George on everything he said.
Exactly, and that was the whole thing. I said I agreed with George, but I just...
He just, on the very first topic, he did not represent very well. Sorry, George. Well, you didn't get your whole argument out. Completely.
Well, they were timed. Yeah,
now the other 2 points he did well on, but the first point he hadn't really warmed up into his rhythm yet, and
he wound up winning that debate. Rightfully so.
You leave Kit Kats alone. What is it with you and the Godfather and besmirching good candy?
Hey, it is what it is. We all have our things. So.
I want to know now publicly that George is right. And
there you go.
And it does not pain me at all to say that George is right.
The thing is that John will probably hear this, but I doubt George will. So I don't think George will.
Well, John, if you hear this, you let George know that I said he was right, and it does not pain me at all to say that George is right.
I was only half joking about it. It's the whole the Showbiz Pizza versus Chuck E. Cheese Pizza.
See, I don't have a dog in that fight.
I do. So it's a anyway. So again, we're always plugging these guys, but go check out Gen X Grown Ups. Those guys are awesome. And
they're a lot of fun to mess with.
They're great. They're great people. They do great episodes.
Yeah, go and check out their YouTube page too, because they do a lot of product review.
Yeah,
I wish.
I especially loved the Polybius USB.
Well, you were the one who did that.
I know.
You were the one who did that to him. You did him dirty on that.
But
one.
it was funny. Is like I love the way that John did that. Like his production art and everything was really awesome. And it's one of those things. I was sitting there going, as I was watching that video, I was like, I don't need one of these. I kind of want one now. I didn't prior to watching that video, and now I'm kind of like, I kind of want one of these.
That's the world's most expensive
USB charging port.
10 port USB charging station in the world.
But yeah, like I said, go check those guys out. They're pretty cool. We're hoping to do something with them here before long. I've been in the background. I've been cultivating something amongst.
He's been working on.
I'm always working on something.
Thing.
with hopefully multi other podcasts.
By the way, I was going to have the money to upgrade the board that we're using.
Yeah.
The car ate it. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I wasn't anticipating getting what we talked about until after the first of the year anyway. So I just need to kind of get through the holidays. And as we're recording this, we're like 19 days away from Christmas, which I can't believe we're that close. And I'm just like, whoa, where did this happen? Where did this year go? Like seriously, where did this year go?
I need to be able to go and have time stop for like 3 days.
Yeah.
So I can just sleep for 3 days.
It is, when I was a kid, my dad, and I remember this, I was on the way to school one morning and we were talking about, I don't know how we got on the subject. Because the thing is the school I was going to was like literally like 2 minutes from here at the time. And I remember, I can still see this in my head sitting in the car, in the truck with him.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Fidget spinner. I've got one of those.
He got his fidget spinner out here.
It's about the only way I can get some work done at work and be able to pay attention.
Yeah, is it spinning? Get it going. There you go. No. There you go. Look at it. Look how fast it's going.
Don't do that.
You want to come say hi to everybody?
No.
Are you sure? No? You want to come here and say hi? You're just going to spin. Okay, you're just going to play with your fidget spinner? Okay. So I remember this conversation very vividly for whatever reason. I remember like being in the car.
Yeah.
It was probably in the truck, I'm sure, because he was on the way to work afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I forget exactly how. So many conversations from when I was younger, when I was much younger. This is how I remember. I don't remember how we got on the subject or what the initial impetus of the conversation was, but I remember the conversation. Yeah, buddy.
I need Takis.
You need Takis? Can you wait just a few minutes? I don't understand Takis.
I don't
know.
either.
We were talking about this. They're not that good.
They're actually worse than the handicap hot fries that we used to eat.
Every time that he asked for Takis, I always eat like one of them. And I'm just like, oh, they never get better.
No, they're terrible.
They never get better.
Well, I never liked the handicap hot fries either, but I remember kids eating those all the time around us.
Anyways, so I remember us having this conversation about and Dad was explaining his theory of time, of like why time is so slow when you're a kid and why it's faster when you're an adult. Okay. And it's something I've kind of like, he's not wrong. I don't know where he got it from, but he's not. Hold on, buddy. Give that just a minute, okay? Here you go. Have some candy. No. All right. Hey, my kid will turn down candy for Takis. Okay. Well, Daddy'll be there in a minute. Okay. All
he's proven is that he genetically got your bad taste. Is what it is.
Yeah.
So why time is slower when you're a kid and faster when you're adult?
Dad explained that his theory of time is that when you're my son's age, okay, when you're 7 years old, you can probably only remember maybe 3 Christmases, 4 maybe, depending. Probably 3 because he's a December baby, so he probably doesn't remember. So 4, maybe 3 Christmases. Okay, so only being able to remember 3 Christmases, it seems like it's a long time in between them. Whereas when you're my age and you can remember 40 plus Christmases, it kind of it seems like it's right on top of us all the time. And so I was like, okay, that makes a little bit of sense, I guess. Yeah. But my God, and I even said this, like, I remember like when I turned 30, okay, I remember looking back on my 20s and thinking, that felt like a decade.
Mm-hmm.
When I turned 40, that felt like about maybe 4 years.
Yeah.
Of my 30s felt like only about 4 years went by,
Yep.
And now I'm staring 50 pretty hard in the face. And I'm like, no, this has only been like a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like
I actually have a theory on why it's
okay.
slower when you're a kid. Okay.
Yeah.
You've seen The Princess Bride.
Yes.
You know about the machine.
Yeah, where it takes the time off.
Where it takes time.
Right.
Yeah, that's actually what a job is. When you
You've
go
been mostly dead all day.
when you go and you get a job, you have been put in the machine, and every day they go, I have just sucked 1 year of your life away. Tell me, how do you feel?
Yeah, but see, how does that work for me who hasn't had a real job in years? So, I mean, it's...
That's just the mileage, my friend.
Like, I legit have not had a quote-unquote real job in
but for
a
you,
decade.
it's not the years, it's the mileage.
Yeah, that's true. And I have a lot of mileage. Believe me, there's a lot of mileage that I have accumulated, you know, in my 47 years. And I probably have a good 80 years worth of mileage on these tires, if not more. And
I might look 48, but internally I'm something like 72.
Yeah, and
my
I'm
knees are
sure,
94.
Oh, dude, I don't even want to talk about my knees and ankles.
My knees are 94.
My knees and ankles are just it's one of those things where I have a good knee. Or at least I used to have a good knee.
I don't have a good knee anymore.
I used to have a good knee. Yeah. But when I got to the point where I would talk about my good knee and my bad knee, and now that I'm talking like the last time that I had a knee issue, it was my good knee.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, I had a good knee, and now I have the bad knee and the knee that I had surgery on.
Yeah.
Which are two different knees
Yeah.
altogether. And for some reason now I want to watch Daniel Day-Lewis in my left foot.
It's not quite that bad.
So...
So anyways, guys, like I said, as we're recording this, we're 19 days away from Christmas, and we're going to be back with more stuff between now and then. It might get a little dicey. I mean, this time of year is always with seeing family and different stuff, and work. And I mean, I even not having a quote unquote real job, I have work that has to get done here in the next couple of weeks. That and so it's
winterizing.
Yeah, good times.
It's so much fun to be a homeowner.
No, it's not. That's as I have legally become an adult, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay. I can't deny
as
that.
I have legally become an adult
Yeah.
and been one for well over for the vast majority of my life, it's one of those things that you look at all the lies that you believed as a child about being an adult.
Yeah.
and they really pile up.
Yeah.
I mean, they pile up and pile up and pile up.
So
and
you can
pile
be
up.
anything you want to be, kid.
Yeah.
Well, what they don't tell you is that you can be what you want to be, but those jobs may not necessarily make you the money that you need. Kids, get a job in IT, get a job in networking specifically, because everything's going to the network.
On that,
I wish I had more networking education myself.
You're probably this is weird, and you know how I always draw weird lines between stuff.
All of your lines are squiggly.
Jimmy Buffett has a song called "A Pirate Looks at 40."
Yeah,
and there is a great line in that song that says, "Occupational hazard means that the occupation is just not around," and there is a lot of truth in that, and it goes hand in hand with one of my favorite lines from a song from the 90s by Everclear. It's a song called "The Twist Inside," and the line is, "Breathing fire doesn't look good on a resume, and neither does anything else we do."
Yeah.
And I have and like, yep.
So having a job is in networking somewhere.
Yeah.
It seems to be fairly solid right now.
Mm-hmm. Podcasting, come on.
Yeah, we're getting rich off of this.
Oh, I know.
Or as my sister decided to go into being a funeral director is
that
job
is recession
security.
proof.
Yeah,
I mean that is 100. There are two things. There's actually three things that are recession proof, and this is, you can go look it up, and these are always listed. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you want, buddy?
Hold on for a minute, folks. We're finding the correct game on the iPad.
No, he wanted to watch SpongeBob. So. Something else I don't get. I have never. SpongeBob's been around for over 20 years now.
I'm sorry, I love SpongeBob.
And anytime, you aside, anytime that someone's like, dude, you ever watch SpongeBob? I'm like, no, I don't smoke pot.
I don't smoke pot. I love SpongeBob, but it falls for me in that
don't get me wrong.
It's Ren and Stimpy, SpongeBob,
weird.
Beavis and Butthead.
It is weird. I'll give you that. Like I have watched some episodes just been, and again, it's one of those like, what the hell just happened?
If MTV Liquid TV was still around,
that would
SpongeBob would be on it.
Well, it's that Nickelodeon being owned by Viacom, who also owns MTV and VH1 and CMD and all that stuff. It makes perfect sense that it would be in all that.
All right, kids. Do you know what time it is?
I know. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? I know.
I love it.
He got into it.
It's
a while back.
It's silly. It's insane. It's somewhat adult.
It's something that when I was a kid, I probably would have loved.
Yes.
As an adult, I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I say that more and more as an adult, where I'm like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, there's some things I don't get.
Yeah. And
SpongeBob, I totally get.
SpongeBob, I don't get
because I'm a simple moron.
Now, along those lines, something that came out around the same time, Invader Zim.
Oh,
I loved that show.
Want a taco?
That show.
I want a taco.
Did you
Want a taco?
Did you see the movie they did a couple years ago?
Yes.
The Netflix.
Yes.
That was actually really good. Like I was fully expecting to be let down. And I was like, oh no, this is brilliant. They got this right.
I love Invader Zim. Yeah. Something else that's come out on Netflix that I haven't started watching yet, but I'm looking forward to doing is they're doing a live action Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, you haven't heard the reviews yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
don't do that to me.
Oh, everybody is just down on this thing.
Oh, I wanted it to be so
no,
good.
No. This thing has been trounced like you wouldn't believe. And everybody says it's because in animation you can do things that you can't do live action, and so therefore it kind of
doesn't translate.
It doesn't translate well.
That's really disappointing.
But yeah, no, that has been ever since it dropped on Netflix. I mean, this thing has been
ravaged.
Man, it's got a horrible like Rotten Tomatoes score and just everything.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was like when the week that it dropped, that's pretty much all the internet was talking about was how bad it was. I mean,
I hadn't had time because of work. Oh, he needs a hug. Don't ever turn down a hug. Give that boy a hug.
I always give him hugs.
Right. The other thing that I'm kind of since that evidently sucks.
Yeah.
The other thing I was kind of looking forward to is Amazon is doing a Jack Reacher series.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it. It looked pretty decent.
You know who's playing Reacher?
Mm-mm.
And it actually fits the character of the book a little bit better. You've watched Teen Titans, right?
No.
You haven't watched DC Teen Titans?
Stuff, so.
It's the guy who plays Hawk.
I don't know. I don't watch any of that. I saw the trailer for Jack Reacher, like the trailer for it, and it looked pretty good, and I was because it's just called Reacher, right?
It's just called Reacher.
And so I was like, okay, so they're doing a Jack
the books
Reacher
are
thing
real.
here,
The books are really good. I've really enjoyed the books.
I knew that it was a series of books.
So
who was it that made in the movie? Was that the one that had
Tom Cruise? Tom Cruise doesn't even get close to the description of Reacher in the books.
Okay. Kind of like his Lestat.
Have I mentioned recently how much I dislike Tom Cruise?
I like Tom Cruise in some things.
The only thing I like Tom Cruise in is Top Gun. And if they don't release Top Gun Maverick
supposed to come out this next year.
I'm going to be really happy.
I know they've pushed it several times. So, have you seen the final trailer for Spider-Man: No Way Home?
No,
dude, it looks so good. It looks so good. Okay,
that drops in like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's
not this weekend, but next weekend. Yeah. The trailer, like how that first trailer they dropped, and you see the Dr. Octopus's arms come up, and you see Albert Molina, and he says, "Hello, Peter."
Yeah.
The very first of the new one, he's holding Peter Parker upside down. He doesn't have his mask on. He's like, "You're not Peter Parker." And he's like, yeah, I am. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where it's, so it's one of those things they're really getting into the multiverse of it all.
So they they teased the multiverse
Mm-hmm.
in the end of WandaVision. Yes, they did.
Was it there
Yes, they teased the multiverse
at the end of WandaVision?
at the end of WandaVision when she's sitting there reading the
Oh
Stronghold.
yeah. And then of course Loki went full multiverse. I mean,
Loki
that's-
went
yeah.
full multiverse.
Right.
We already know that it's leading up to Doctor Strange and
And
the
the
multiverse of madness.
Yes.
So this is our first real
Right.
introduction
And we
to
and
the
this-
multiverse.
Yeah, so this is kind of we're getting the quote unquote Spider-Verse. Now, did you see the trailer for the new Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes, that I did see.
I love that movie. That
And immediately
movie
gets
is
attacked
so
by one of
good.
his own.
That movie was so good.
Oh, yeah.
And so when they announced it, oh yeah, we're going to do another one. I'm like, yes, you should do a whole bunch of these.
Yes.
This is
Like, I think I'm going to need one with just Spider-Pig.
yeah. I'm good with Spider-Ham. That's
Just
fine.
Yeah,
you know.
just Spider-Ham.
Yeah. I mean that.
We're going to need one with just Spider-Gwen.
Okay. All right. We're going to get into a little bit of comics talk here.
Okay. Oh, no, he's going to get the Takis and bring them in here.
I think there's not a whole lot left in the bag, so I'm just going to let him have the bag. Really?
Yeah, really.
Here you go. Xander, come here. Oh, wait, you want some in them? No, you don't. Here you go. Just take the whole thing. There you go. There's a whole bag in there. That's what's left of it. So.
Oh. He gave you a quarter bag of Takis,
Yeah,
boy.
something like that. Just don't give them to the dogs, okay? Okay.
Oh, that'll be bad.
When they first introduced Spider-Gwen,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, I really like this, and they did some cool things with her. This is just strictly from a comic book point of view, because I was still reading comics this time. That's when they first did the Spider-Verse stuff, and
Yeah.
and they were like, and it was kind of cool because like they brought her in the comic, and of course you've got all these different Spider people, Spider-Men, Spider whatever it was,
Yeah.
and not all of them had lost their Gwen Stacy, but enough of them had to where they were like all very protective of her, and she couldn't figure out. She's like, "What are you talking about?" Which in the Spider-Gwen verse, she lost Peter.
Yeah.
She became the Spider, the hero, the Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
And Peter Parker died, and so that's her like, I lost somebody,
Yeah.
type thing, and so it's like, okay, it's cool the way that they did that, and I really like the way that they did it. And then they gave her her own series, and of course, then they had to bring her over into the Marvel Universe proper because Marvel can't not do that kind of stuff whenever they have something that's going well.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? It's kind of like the Spider-Man 2099. Like rather than just leave him in 2099, it's like no, he's got to be in the 616. It's like just. Why? And they brought Miles Morales over into the 616 out of the Ultimate. And it's like, oh, why can't you just leave everybody where they? You can have the crossovers,
Yeah.
but why don't you just leave everybody where they are? Rather than having 14 different Spider people running around.
If they keep it up, they're going to have to do what DC did and
Dude,
have.
they are long past having to do a Crisis on Infinite Earths type scenario, or a 0 Hour, or any number of, or the Infinite Crisis,
where
or
they
any
just
of,
bring them all into one universe.
and get rid of some of them and do this and that and
Kill
everything.
them all.
Yeah, I mean it's just so. I really enjoyed Spider-Gwen initially.
Yeah.
The problem is that since she became a character that took off, they did the same thing with her that they've done with Wolverine, that they did with Venom at one point, that they've done with a couple of where it's like, okay, now we're going to have a Gwenpool, and we're going to have a Wolverine Gwen, and we're going to have and just on and on and on and on and on and on, where it's like, dude, seriously, you don't have to make a character into every character. I mean, it's just
okay. Time for Crisis on Infinite Earths for Marvel,
and of course, some of them they're not.
It's really terrible.
Some of them, they're not canon necessarily. It's like one of those things. They're like, oh, they might have shown up for one thing or another, but it is. But it's like, they've even made action figures out of something. Like I know there's a Gwenpool action figure, and there's all this kind of stuff. It's like, dude, seriously, they did the same thing with Deadpool. Whenever he really got popular, where it's like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna make Deadpool into everybody.
No, that's when Deadpool kind of lost me.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, just have everybody stay in their lane. Okay, fine. You want to bring Spider-Gwen over in the 616? That's fine, but have her stay in that spider lane with everybody else.
Oh, did you see the announcement today?
Of
they're bringing Daredevil back. And
Is it Charlie Cox?
It's Charlie Cox.
Okay.
Charlie Cox is going to continue his role as Daredevil.
How are they going to bring him to
I don't know
Disney Plus, or are they
I
gonna
don't know how they're bringing him back,
the
but
MCU proper?
he made some kind of post on his
I knew that they're because they were basically waiting because they had to wait until those rights came back over from Netflix, which happened I think a year ago or something like that. The rights,
which is
for
good
that,
because that Daredevil is the
he was
good
wonderful. He was
Daredevil.
great as Daredevil.
We need more of John. What's his name as Frank Castle and the Punisher.
John
We need
Barenthal.
more of that.
Yeah,
You
know what?
I need
don't,
the third season of.
I do not think that they will bring the Punisher over into the MCU because
they need to.
That's a little too pro vigilante like.
Horse crap.
I know, but
that's a load of horse crap.
I know.
They've got Deadpool. Deadpool's coming over to the MCU proper.
I want to see Jessica Jones come over and Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. I need a third season of Luke Cage.
Yeah.
I need that series to pick up right where it left off and continue on.
Of course, he's on a new show now, so I don't know if they'll be able to.
Yeah,
do
he's
that.
on Fear.
Evil.
Or Evil, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you watched that show?
I have.
It's all right.
It's not bad.
I've got a few episodes here and there.
My wife tried to get me into it, and I couldn't get into it. And then I caught one episode, like on, I forget where, and I started picking it back. Sorry, Renee, you're going to be hacked off at me about it. I know, but
I caught a couple episodes early on, and I kind of liked the whole.
It's not bad.
Where he has this connection with the spirit realm or whatever it is, but in order to get there, he has to take like hallucinogens.
Yeah.
It's like, that makes sense because there's been, you kind of look back and you talk about like psilocybin and different stuff like that where it's like DMT.
Well, Joe Rogan and his whole psychotropic.
There have been, books written about, whether or not the ancients were doing boatload of drugs to write all this stuff. It's a theory anyway.
So is the Mothman.
I know.
So is the Jersey Devil.
Hey, Xander, all about the Mothman. Let me tell you, he asks about him all the time. It's funny. I think I told the story about
about the praying mantis.
But what's funny
that,
is that all of that because there was in that yard there was a praying mantis and there was a big spider.
Yeah.
And there was a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and a dragon. Okay?
Yeah.
So just like this week, he was like, because he always asks about the praying mantis and the Mothman since we got that mixed up. But now he's like, what happened to the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? I'm like, oh, he went back to New York City. And he's like, what happened to the dragon? He's like, well, he flew back to his cave. And I was like, well, what about the spider? I'm like, well, she went back to her web. So, like, every once in a while, he'll start going down the line of, like, where did they all go to? And I'm like, I don't know. Where did they go to? He'll be like, New York City. And here's the web.
You know what you ought to do? You ought to get him, like, a bag of Stay Puft Marshmallow Man seeds. Get him a bag of the little mini marshmallows and go, here, plant your own.
There you go. You still haven't seen Afterlife, have you? Okay.
I'm about to pay $1,200 on my $100 car. So the movies are just.
I get it. It's
$1,200 right at Christmas.
Oh, I know. There was a great meme I saw today, and it was this person, and it said paycheck. It was sitting there kind of like looking down, and behind him there was another person that was poking him that said bills, and one said food, and one said rent. And then you see this hand come in like the next panel off, and then the last one it says it's the other person. It says Christmas gifts. Mm-hmm. he's given a German suplex to the paycheck. It's like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, when I'm not buying a new coffee maker because I've got to pay this money on my stupid little car, you know it's a thin month.
Yeah, I know. And it always happens at the worst possible time.
Oh, yeah.
Always. The worst possible time. So
it all started with a flat.
Yeah.
That turned into, why is the spare flat also to a toe to...
Yeah, I know.
Now I'm putting 4 tires and all new brakes all the way around.
Thought about doing the brakes yourself?
Dude, I'm not...
We could do it.
No,
honestly.
Come to find out, the rear drum brakes were basically falling apart, and they're actually having to put new mechanisms and all that. No, it's not just a put new brakes and rotors on it type thing.
Yeah, I can do all that stuff. As a matter of fact, I did all mine. back in the summer. I was like, screw it, I can go pay the $30 for the whatever, for the pieces and go do it. Or piece, I guess I had to do for both front and back brakes. So I think I paid.
When it comes to media, I can pretty much do whatever I want to.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to working on my car, I can drive it. I can put gas in it.
A little bit mechanically inclined.
I can put a new battery in.
Yeah.
One. And it's really a shame because my grandfather was actually a mechanic for the state of Kentucky, working all that heavy machinery and all that. But he passed away before I got any of that knowledge.
It's like I said, especially these days, YouTube is the great equalizer when it comes to a lot of that stuff. Because obviously there are certain things that I can't do.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's put it this
way. What
way.
makes me nervous is I don't need to be experimenting on the car that I need for a daily driver.
I know. But it's one of, like I said, I have replaced multiple brakes on multiple cars. I had to replace an oxygen sensor on my ex-wife's car one time. It's just there are certain things that you can do. It's like this isn't
but
so
knowing
bad.
Me,
but
you don't want me doing. You don't want me trying to do your brakes because knowing me, I'll put everything in there and be like, where'd all these spare parts come from?
Yeah, you never want spare parts when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. This is why I know my own limitations.
Fair enough.
This is why I pay professionals to make sure that my car stops.
Again, it goes back to being mechanically inclined a little bit when it comes to that, and especially with doing plumbing and different things like that. I hate doing plumbing. Okay, and it is well worth my time. You're well worth the money to not have to do it, just from the time standpoint and also the point of I hate doing plumbing.
Well, it's one of those things. This is one of the things of adulthood.
Yeah,
you look at something and go, yes, I can do that myself. How much is it worth me doing it and taking my time to do it, and how much money am I willing to pay to have it done so I don't have to
It's like oil changes. Yes, I could do my own oil changes.
Yeah.
I'll pay the $50 to have somebody else do it or whatever it is.
Wait, you're paying $50?
Yeah, I got to do full synthetic. So
yeah.
It's actually it's just funny because I can go get
why
5
full
quarts.
Synthetic?
That's that car falls for. It was Honda.
Oh.
And the thing is that I can get the oil at like Walmart or someplace like that for not that much.
Yeah.
And even and I did that.
But by the time you put that thing on jack stands, you get up under there and then
you do everything.
You
get rid of the oil. At some point.
Covered in oil because you
replace
can't
the oil filter. Which it's not difficult to do any of that stuff.
Pain.
And a matter of fact, I was a couple of years ago. I was all set to start doing all of that myself.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that I don't have the jacks to do that. And it's like
don't. I like Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
I have a lot of tools from Harbor Freight. Don't ever get Harbor Freight jack stands. Don't do it. Don't do it.
So
I've seen too many recalls.
Yes. Yeah. Well.
Same on their jacks. On their jacks.
Whatever. Yeah. It is what it is. But again, being an adult now, I'm like, no, I'll just pay the money. I've got the money.
Yeah.
I'll pay it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, I could do this on my own, but my time, in my estimation, my time is worth more than what. Than what I'll pay.
Yeah.
So
I get to
what
sit
I don't
in here
like
in the visitors lounge.
What I don't like is whenever I
do
say, "Okay, I need this done," and they come back with a list of crap that needs to be done, and I'm like, it's funny because all I really needed was, I needed my tires rotated or whatever it was. It's like, don't tell me about all this other crap.
Yeah. Could you just tow rate the tires?
Yeah, that's
please?
all I need. That's all I need. Don't come with me with all this other stuff.
I said that like that on purpose. Yeah.
So anyways, now that we have rambled for another half an hour.
You got to have an end of show ramble. Got to have an end of show ramble.
If we didn't have an end of show ramble, I think people would be upset with us. So I have an idea for something that we can do for an episode on holidays that we will talk about off air.
Okay.
That might be interesting.
All right.
So yeah, anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us once again. Go check out the movie 8-Bit Christmas. It's a lot of fun, and
just have a box of Kleenex somewhere close.
It might warm the cockles of your heart or something.
Or just rip it clean out of your
below
chest.
the cockles of your heart, maybe the subcockles or something, I can't remember the whole bit. I would do it.
It's amazing you're still here, considering Krampusnacht was last night.
Was that last night?
That was last night.
I knew it was here recent.
How bad is it that I know when Krampusnacht is in? I don't know when
Christmas,
when Hanukkah started and ended. So
one of them has to do with a religion that you're not you're not a part of, and the other one has to do with your eternal soul. So
one has to do with a religion I'm not overly familiar with, and one has to do with a demon that shows up once a year to put children in a bag, beat them with a thing of sticks, and drag them back to the underworld.
And we don't talk about what was the other guy's name? Black
Peter.
Black Peter, that was his name. So yeah, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it.
Black Peter.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, some of that stuff.
I'm thinking about letting my beard go out full Santa.
Really?
I'm thinking about doing.
You trimmed it.
I had to go get a haircut. I was starting to get uber shaggy.
Yeah, mine's kind of getting there too. But I'm like, I really want to let it grow out long enough to where I can braid it.
Yeah,
like get a good braid going. But it's, and the thing is mine is actually fairly long.
It's getting close.
It's just the fact that like my beard is curly. Like my hair is curly, and so therefore
I've actually got a trick that we can talk about off air about that my barber told me about.
Okay.
But you're not quite to Scott Ian.
No, not quite at all. I tell you what I would like to do with mine, and you can go if you know who I'm talking about, the guitarist Bumblefoot.
Yes,
I love the way he's got his, like that bigger, that braided, that thick braid, So we'll see. I don't know. What's kind of cool? Again, we're getting off on a crazy thing. One of the things I do like about my beard, though, especially at the length that it is
Welcome
now,
to Beard Talk.
Is it like if I don't wash it for a couple of days, and I mean like it's not like it's all nasty. It's just like I haven't don't wash it every time I take a shower I wash it, but it's still one of those things like if I sleep on it or something and like and don't take a shower the next morning or something, it kind of gets matted enough to where like it wants to, because of the curl, it kind of wants to split in the middle on its own.
Yeah.
And it looks like I have two horns coming down. Well, it's like naturally.
When I was doing the goatee instead of the beard, I've actually got a little bald spot up under my chin where I got cut, so I've got some scar tissue. Mine breaks out in a complete even. I know, two spikes, and it was.
Yeah, I know.
There were some days I would actually put it out in two spikes and then put like hair bands
in it.
Yeah.
So
at one point I had considered getting some Celtic beard beads.
Yeah, nice.
And doing that also.
It's one of those things. I've had facial hair since I was in college, basically. It was an on again off again thing. Of course, that was back when I still had like a jawline and chin for the most part.
What's a chin?
Yeah, but it's one of those things as I've gotten older and
I think you misspoke. I think you meant chins.
Yeah, well, as I've gotten older and gravity has taken over, as well as
I don't want to hear
my
compared to me. I don't want to hear.
But it's still one of those things where, believe me, if you look at my family, like we have this this skin underneath here drops eventually.
I purposely grew facial hair to hide the double
I know,
chin.
believe me, and that's a lot of because I've had this beard for years now, like full. I always had like a goatee or whatever, the little. But I never thought I would have this much beard ever.
Are you using beard oil at all?
Don't do anything. All I do is I legitimately I will wash it when I take a shower. Like I use like a shampoo conditioner combo. That's it. And
I got to get you some beard oil and beard balm because that'll help with some of the curliness.
Yeah, and it's definitely because some days, like especially after I get out of the shower, like when I dry it, it just poofs. I mean, it looks like an afro almost. It poofs out so much.
You need to be using oil and balm.
Yeah, probably.
And I'll go ahead and give a shout out to the company I use. It's Grave Before Shave.
Grave Before Shave.
Yeah.
Okay. That was one of the things with my ex-wife. She hated my beard, so of course I had to grow it longer.
My wife is exactly the opposite. She was like, "You cannot ever shave again." What do you want, Paris Hilton? What do you want?
She just wants your attention. She wants you to love on her.
Okay. Well, I guess the podcast is over.
I guess so because
the Paris Hilton of dogs is now standing in my lap.
She is so pretty though. She is a pretty girl. So
okay, yes, you're very sweet. Now go away.
Yeah,
go.
Like I said, she's a little extra. So
a little.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so guys, check us out on our social media. There's Facebook. There's Instagram. And come over and hang out with us on Discord.
Yes, we have fun over on Discord. That's maybe we can really get it going after the first of the year, after things kind of calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
I know. I'm really. This is one of those like I can't say that this.
I know
This
Miss O
year has been-
I know Miss O has posted a bunch
Yes,
of music
I know.
stuff over there,
I haven't had a chance to
have
listen
not
to it.
had
I
a chance to
know,
go
I know,
listen
I
to it,
know.
and it's killing me because I'm looking for new music.
Yeah.
And Miss O, just know that I've seen it. I want to listen to it.
Just hadn't gotten
Work
there yet.
is handing me my butt right now.
Right. Oh, and one more thing. I meant to say this on the front end, and I forgot. Whamageddon ended early for me this year.
I'm still in the game. I'm still
Matter
in
of
the
fact,
game.
I'm doubly out because I was the other day, like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm like 3 days into Whamageddon. Okay.
Okay,
And
hold on, stop. You should
Oh,
explain what Whamageddon is
okay.
for those who are not.
Whamageddon is a thing that the internet started a few years ago, where basically what it comes down to is starting on December 1st
Yep.
through it's through Christmas Day. Like basically, if you make it through Christmas Eve, I think it ends at like midnight on the 24th or something like that. It's one of those things. If you make it to Christmas,
Yeah.
basically what it is that you are still you're trying not to hear Wham's version of Last Christmas.
Correct.
None of the covers of it, like the Taylor Swift version or the Glee version or any of the whatever, there's been so many versions of it that have come out.
It's just the Wham
It's just
version.
the Wham versions. The other ones don't count. Okay?
Right.
And basically, it's once you realize that you're hearing the song, you're out.
Yes.
Last year I made it almost to the end before it got me.
This is my third year where I won two. I have had 2 consecutive years.
I know
where
2 years
I
ago you
won the
tried.
game.
I won it 2 years ago, and you tried to take me out live on the show.
Yes,
and I
I
was
did.
like, "Put that phone down. Put the phone down." It's like
I was actually going to sacrifice
I
my
know,
win
I know.
to put you out.
but
So far, I have. If I get through this year, I pull off a hat trick.
I was watching a YouTube video the other day.
Yeah.
And it was music related, talking. And I think they were telling me, remember the group Glass Tiger?
Yes.
Don't forget me when I'm gone.
Yes.
They were talking about that, and the guy was talking about like 1985 and blah blah blah, and he was putting bits of. And he was like, "Yeah, 1985 is when Wham, when Wham broke up, but they did give us this last song."
I would have turned it off.
And there's
right
a clip.
then.
I didn't realize it, and the clip came on, and it's the clip from the music video for.
Oh, no.
And I was like, "Oh," and I'm out already. It's just like. And then before you came over, we were sitting at, and this is the first time I heard it like out in the wild. We were sitting at Panera eating earlier.
Yeah.
And we were just getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden it started. And I was like, I'm doubly out on this one. I was already out to begin with, but this got me, And I was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But this is the earliest I've ever gone out. I've at least made it like most of the way through those.
If I can get to Christmas Day without hearing it, I pull off a hat trick.
Yeah,
because this will be the third year.
Well, that's like I said, this was
Which means
let's put it this way.
Which means everybody's going to be gunning for me now.
Whamageddon's going about as well as my fantasy football league this year. So, because this week is the next to last week of the regular season, and I have to pull off a miracle to win tonight to keep me at least somewhat. I'm not mathematically eliminated if I don't win this week.
Yeah.
But if I win this week, it makes it a lot easier to get into the playoffs next week. If I lose tonight, because the final game is tonight, it's not over. But if I win this week, it basically is going to be a down to the last week of a run, basically a who can outlast. And it's not even. It's basically there's a 3-way tie for the 6th spot into the playoffs.
Oh, that's not good.
And it's one of those things where it's like all 3 of us are within just a few points of each other, and it's like, oh. But the thing is, it's like if one of us falls, that means 2 people have to lose in order for there to even be a chance for that. And it's just
I get you.
So it's been one of those years, man. I've had so many people go on injured reserve and just underperform, and so
okay. So
anyway,
as I was saying, Facebook, Instagram, Discord. Come hang out with us on Discord,
and hopefully you'll have a better Whamageddon than I have this year. So
yeah.
So guys, thank you so much. I am Alan Smith.
I am the other guy, Big Dave.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.